Good day. This is part one of a presentation on data integrity. My name is Martin Michel, and I represent the Department of Pharmacology at Johannes Gutenberg University in Mainz and the Partnership for the Assessment and Accreditation of Scientific Practice in Heidelberg. This first part will cover the ALCOA principles. Think about it. Could you repeat an experiment you did 2 years ago based upon the notes in your lab journal? Could you repeat an experiment a previous PhD student did in the lab before you joined? Or could someone else repeat an experiment based on reading your lab journal? And that seems to be the easy part. Try to think of the same questions, not based on your lab journal, but based on the published paper. Remember, kids, the only difference between screwing around in science is writing it down. Let me start with the definition. Data integrity is the degree to which data are complete, consistent, accurate, trustworthy, and reliable, and that these characteristics are maintained through the data lifecycle. Good documentation practice are methods for recording, correcting, and managing data, documents, and records to ensure the reliability and integrity of information and data through all aspects of a product's life cycle. Is data integrity only a problem of pharmacological research? I don't think so. Let me give you 2 examples. The company Takata produced airbags for automobiles. There was a potential danger of spraying shrapnel caused by defective airbag inflators when the airbag goes off. Takata engineers had removed some test results to artificially reduce variability in airbag inflator performance. A spokesman of the NHTSA, Brian Thomas, said about this, Takata provided inaccurate, incomplete, and misleading information to regulators for nearly a decade. Had they told the truth, Takata could have prevented this from becoming a global crisis. What did Mr. Thomas mean by a global crisis? About 100 million vehicles worldwide were affected, over 33 automotive brands. About 100 people were injured and 15 died. Another example comes from the Peanut Corporation of America. They had a salmonella outbreak in 2008-2009. In some cases, company officials falsified lab results, stating peanut products were safe to eat when tests showed otherwise, or when products had never been tested at all according to court papers. That was a quote from the Wall Street Journal. The company shipped product with falsified certificates of analysis, which attested the purity of the contaminated lots. The CEO wrote in March 2007 an email to a plant manager about contaminated products. He wrote, "Just ship it. I cannot afford to lose another customer." What happened? There are at least 9 reported deaths, more than 700 consumers sickened. The CEO was sentenced to 28 years in prison. Others were also sent to prison, including a plant quality manager. The company lost nearly $1 billion in peanut sales. The plant was closed and the company was liquidated. Actually, I didn't even know you can sell peanuts for $1 billion. So, to address these points, the ALCOA principles on data integrity were established. ALCOA is an acronym standing for Attributable, Legible, Contemporaneous, Original, and Accurate. They were later supplemented by 4 more principles, which I will cover in the second part. Let's start with attributable. Who acquired the data or performed an action and when? Information must be captured in the record to uniquely identify the originator of the data. Why is it important? Of course, you want the right person to be contacted in case you have any questions. And you must be able to document that the person who did the work was trained and authorized to perform it. As a funny side note, there even have been questions whether Albert Einstein actually stole the theory of relativity from his wife. So what does it mean in practice? Sign and date when recording data. Sign and date reports. If you use electronic systems, apply a unique user ID. Here's a question. Do you see a data integrity issue? Perform an experiment and observe the test result, which is 108. But accidentally, I write down 180. I notice it right away, single line cross out and correct. Well, is that an integrity issue? Actually, it is. Because you no longer can really tell what has happened. For example, who corrected the original entry, when it happened, and why. Now you see here underneath the correct way of doing this. It's crossed out with a single line, the correct result is written, and there is a signed and dated note, error during recording. Part 2 of ALCOA is legible. Can you read data and any entries? Data must be readable and understandable to allow full reconstruction by the people reviewing these records at any point during the record's retention period. To the right, you see some page of the notebook of Leonardo da Vinci, who actually always wrote in mirror image. Why is it important? You want to allow people reviewing the record to fully understand all activities and findings. Illegible data can give the appearance that you are trying to hide something. What does it mean in practice? Use permanent ink, single line cross out to correct data when necessary, with an explanation of change as you have seen on the previous slide. Ensure readability of file formats in case you have electronic data storage. Another example, Rob is going to be out of the office tomorrow and returning the day after tomorrow. We really need to get this report approved by tomorrow. It's now the end of the day and edits are still being made. Rob signs the signature page and dates for tomorrow. I was out of the office yesterday when test results to the customer were due. I set the lab equipment, clocked back a day, and performed the test so that the test results are stamped yesterday. Well, if the report is true, you may think it's a minor issue, but Rob has put a signature under a report that he had never seen in final format. So the C in ALCOA stands for contemporaneous. Was it recorded as it happened? Data must be recorded at the time and date they are generated or observed. Why important? Backdating gives the false impression that the task had been done in a timely fashion. In practice, record data at the time the data is generated or observed. Do not rely on memory only. Another example. Experimental notes are recorded in the table by handwriting. Data points are transferred to Excel, and the original paper record is discarded. Well, is it an issue? The O in ALCOA stands for original. Is this the first place where the data is recorded? Are raw data saved as well? Data must be saved in the format in which it was originally generated. Why is this important? Data may be analyzed again, or there may be a need to correct transcription errors. In practice, use official forms and records. Do not record raw data on scrap paper. Retain raw data records as original or true copy, for example, verified scans. Another example. Before starting the experiments, I noticed that one of the instruments measuring a critical control parameter has expired calibration. I'm already running late and I proceed anyway. Well, is this an issue? The final A in ALCOA stands for accurate. Are all the details correct? Data must be recorded correct, truthful, valid, and reliable. Why? Good data provides the basis for good scientific decision making. This means, in practice, record accurately all required data, report changes to data, calibrate, maintain, and validate as necessary instruments, equipment, analytical methods, etc. Thank you for your attention. You're kindly invited to also watch part 2 of this video for information on the ALCOA Plus recommendations and the FAIR recommendations. Goodbye.